Today, we are going deep. In the 2nd century, when Christianity was still defining its identity amid persecution and heresy, Irenaeus of Lyons emerged as one of the most important theologians of the early Church. Born in Asia Minor and later serving as Bishop of Lyons in Gaul, Irenaeus defended the faith against Gnostic teachings, which claimed secret knowledge for an elite few and often denigrated the material world. Against this, Irenaeus proclaimed a cosmic vision. Creation is good, humanity is destined for growth, and history itself is the unfolding of God's plan. Central to his teaching was the idea that human life is a process of becoming conscious of God's likeness, a movement toward divinization, theosis. In this vision, existence is not static but evolutionary, leading humanity from innocence to maturity, from image to likeness, from potentiality to fullness in God. The life and mission of Irenaeus. Irenaeus was born around 130 CE, likely in Smyrna, where he was influenced by Polycarp, a disciple of John the Apostle. This direct connection to the apostolic tradition gave him unique authority. Eventually, he traveled west and became Bishop of Lyons, ministering in a diverse and growing Christian community. His greatest work, Against Heresies, was written to refute the dualistic visions of Gnosticism. But in the process, he offered not merely polemics, but a grand theology of creation, incarnation, and salvation. For Irenaeus, Christianity was not about escaping the world, but about transforming it. And at the heart of this transformation was human consciousness awakening to its destiny, to become like God, humanity as created in God's image. Irenaeus began with the biblical affirmation that humanity was created in the image and likeness of God. Yet he made a subtle distinction. While the image is given from the start, our rationality, freedom, and capacity for relationship, the likeness is something to be attained. In other words, we are born with the imprint of God, but we are called to grow into God's likeness through love, knowledge, and virtue. This gave human existence a dynamic character. Life is a journey of transformation. Consciousness, for Irenaeus, is not a fixed possession, but a field of growth, a divine seed meant to unfold into the fullness of God's life. The process of growth and maturity. For Irenaeus, humanity is like a child at the beginning of creation, innocent but immature. The purpose of history is the maturation of humanity into divine likeness. He rejected the idea that Adam and Eve's fall was a catastrophe beyond repair. Instead, he saw it as part of the growing pains of human freedom. Just as children stumble while learning to walk, so humanity was destined to grow through trial, error, and redemption. Consciousness evolves, not in the modern scientific sense, but spiritually. Each generation is drawn deeper into awareness of God's presence and purpose. In this view, creation is not a static order, but a drama of growth in which humanity gradually becomes godlike. The Incarnation as fulfillment. The climax of Irenaeus's vision is the incarnation of Christ. For him, the Word made flesh was not an afterthought to repair a broken creation, but the central purpose of history from the beginning. In Christ, humanity and divinity are joined, revealing the destiny of all creation. Irenaeus famously declared, "The glory of God is a living human being, and the life of the human is the vision of God." Consciousness reaches its highest point when it beholds God in Christ, for in him the image and likeness are perfectly united. Through Christ, the human race is drawn into divine life, not as an external reward, but as the very fulfillment of what humanity was created to become. Divinization, becoming like God. Irenaeus's theology anticipates the later Eastern Christian doctrine of Theosis, or divinization. To be saved for him is not merely to be forgiven, but to be transformed into participation in God's life. This does not mean erasing individuality, but fulfilling it, each person becoming fully themselves by sharing in divine consciousness. The Spirit works within the soul, purifying desire, illuminating the mind, and expanding love until the human being reflects God's own radiance. In this process, awareness shifts from fragmentation to unity, from self-centeredness to communion. Divinization, in Irenaeus' teaching, is the natural end of humanity, to live eternally in the likeness of God, conscious of divine presence in all things. History as the arena of divine growth. One of Irenaeus' most striking insights is that history itself is the arena of salvation. Unlike the Gnostics, who sought escape from the material world, Irenaeus insisted that creation is the stage on which God educates humanity. Events, struggles, and even suffering serve as the soil in which consciousness grows toward God. He spoke of recapitulation, the idea that Christ sums up all of history in himself, healing what was broken and leading humanity forward into maturity. Thus, evolution is not random but teleological, aimed toward divinization. Every life, every culture, every age is part of this vast unfolding, where the human race becomes progressively more aware of God's likeness, the fulfillment of human consciousness. In Irenaeus' grand vision, the end of the journey is not annihilation into God, but conscious union with Him. Humanity retains individuality while participating in divine life, just as Christ's humanity was united with His divinity. Consciousness, in its fullness, becomes radiant with God's presence, not merely knowing about God, but living in direct communion. This is the destiny of the human race, not to remain children forever, nor to escape creation, but to become mature in love, wisdom, and holiness. For Irenaeus, salvation is nothing less than the evolution of humanity into the likeness of God, a process already begun in creation and brought to fulfillment in Christ. Life as the journey into divine likeness. Irenaeus of Lyons offers one of the most hopeful and expansive visions in Christian thought. Against despair, he affirmed that creation is good. Against elitism, he declared that all people carry God's image. Against fatalism, he proclaimed that history itself is the arena of growth into divine life. For him, human existence is the process of becoming conscious of God's likeness, an evolution that leads from innocence to maturity, from image to likeness, from potentiality to divinization. In his vision, the meaning of life is not escape, but fulfillment, not rejection of the world, but its transfiguration. Consciousness itself is the seed of God within us, destined to blossom into the fullness of divine likeness until humanity shines as the glory of God.